Last time, Doublefish bluffed me 4 straight pots. The time before that, I was making all kinds of big bluffs on him that were working. So one day I kind of ran him over, one day he kind of ran me over. I didn't know he was capable of playing so crazy against me after the flop. Now, buckle up, baby, because we're going to war.
Yours was a brilliant move with the 5-7 button.
I admit I played bad. I mean, you're going to keep bringing up the same thing? I admit it. You don't. Everybody watching knows you was a terrible stack off with the ace queen.
I just said
they're going to go back and they're going to look at the TiVo, they're going to say, what was the fish thinking?
I just said
and
that.
you defend it to the lights.
I just said that it's only because it was against Tony G.
You defend it to the sun. You're shouting at the sun, but you're wrong. And if you keep looking up at the sun shouting the wrongness, your eyes are going to start hurting.
You know, if you carry on like this, they're going to make you play in a straight check. You won't be able to get your chips.
Your eyes are going to start hurting.
You're going to have to push your chips in with that big head of yours.
Fish, your eyes are going to start hurting.
Roland, who's got the better of this one?
I think this is 10 points each in this round.
That's definitely going to make the cut.
It's just so entertaining.
With a straight check and pushing his chips in with his head. And trying to talk at the same time.
Call.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Raise to 7.
Helmuth wishes that now that he had been a little more steamed up at the end of that one, doesn't he?
I think he wishes really that Dave Elliott or someone will find a hand to do something with.
Oh, God.
Tony Guagua is in.
Got a bad feeling about it.
Pass.
Wow.
Pass.
You know, that's a couple times,
I know he's got a hand too.
Roland, we've seen Tony G make some great folds before the flop. That was class, wasn't it?
I don't know if he picked out something from Helmuth, but that's a side of Tony G that we've seen a couple of times, and it gets overlooked in the bluster of his game, but he can fold for small amounts pre-flop, and that was an excellent fold with ace-queen there.
I might get lucky and hit a flop. Then I'm going to get a lot of money. If you have got an overpair.
It's only 6,000 on the fish.
And I guess we can afford the money. But I don't like it.
Jeez, you get the feeling Helmuth's cards are face up.
I might have put my money
Fraser's
in,
going to feel.
going to kick it up a notch.
2 aces left in the deck. He wants to hit one or the hearts. An 8 high flop could bring trouble.
Close.
Check. Check.
Check it.
Was that a dangerous check by Phil, or is that...
I think it was an excellent trap by Phil. He's
8.
He's lulled someone with a smaller pair into a full sense of security.
Phil Helmuth. He was the youngest ever world champion. He has a record number of bracelets. He has to be the first Premier League champion.
I've been very blessed by the universe, and I'm always going to have a ton of money. So then it's about winning the championships. It's about winning the titles. It's about leaving a legacy. Who cares when you die if you have 100 million or 10 million or $1 billion? No one really cares. It's more money to leave to your children, which can be argued as a good or a bad thing, but they know 24 world championships, 7 World Poker Tour titles, 3 premierships, I hope. You add all that together and people say, this is the greatest poker player in history, and that's what I want to be. Another big ace. I don't even mind if you bluff me. See, I don't even care today. It's all right. I had a bad feeling this time.
Pass.
If you call me to bluff me, I invite you.
Yes.
Raise to 6. Pass. Pass.
I invite you.
This is the first time Black has raised, and why is Helmuth calling? Black has such a tight image.
Helmuth fancies himself as a better flop player, and with a hand such as 7-8 suited, if he hits big, he could get a lot of chips. If Andy Black has an overpair, and Eddie Scharf wants in 2, again with Queen 10. Not a player I particularly like.
Check.
Helmuth checked there in the dark again. Scharf will wait to see the flop.
Check.
Helmuth takes the lead on the flop,
50.
but Andy Black is duty bound to fire as the pre-flop raiser.
Call.
Did he bet 15,000? That's pretty sturdy right now, isn't it?
Andy Black's been making these big bets. He tried to bluff Eddie Shaft 2 weeks ago in one of the very early pots with 2 big bets, and it didn't work, and it hasn't been a tactic that succeeded.
Checked.
Will he fire the second bullet?
Checked.
Thinking twice, perhaps. Oh boy. That's sort of like
4.
4 into 48. I mean, that's a very defensive bet. And Andy Black
Raised
picked
14.
up on that and raised. He's value betting his top pair, and now Helmuth has a real decision, Jesse.
Has Helmuth made any mistakes in this hand? Or has he just gotten a bit unlucky?
It's easy to say when you can see the cards, but betting out the turn would have taken the pot down and defined his hand a lot better. If Andy had raised him after the turn card came a 4, then he would have known where he was.
You see that, Roland?
The cleaning one went over there and you only had 2 aces,
That's
yeah.
sick. You can't catch the 8-8 or something like that. He has to hit the ace, huh?
King 8.
Left $15,000 out there with ace-8 offsuit against me.
It's so sick.
I mean, how bad do these people play? What, they saw Devilfish yesterday, they think they're going to run me over? Really?
Actually,
Think
the
I won
cleaning
10
one showed you
bracelets?
the other ace over there. And when you check the turn and then bet that the end.
You think I won 10 bracelets because you can bluff me?
That's big card. What a joke.
Well, it's only been 1 level, but the leaderboard no joke for Phil Helmuth. Half his stack gone at the expense of Andy Black and the Devilfish, who have pulled up to top boots.
Look at that haircut, Jesse. That's a fantastic work of art for doing it yourself. He doesn't even look in the mirror.
Blind space, 10-4.
It is, I think he's like Edward Scissorhands. He's got a scissor in each hand.
I saw a comment written about Tony G the other day that he looks like an oversized 10-year-old. Behaves like one as well. And here's Phil Helmuth. Who, not like that at all, he behaves like a 12-year-old.
He's a little more mature.
Well, he's a teenage brat.
Helmuth's got 48,000, and he's gone for the limp-in. Is this a factor of his stack size?
I think it is, definitely. But also he knows that
Pass.
he doesn't want to face a re-raise, and he wants to see a flop, because without
Pass.
without a third 5, the pair is not going to win a big pot.
Yeah.
Call.
Well,
All right.
someone was saying a couple weeks ago that limping in with the pair in this spot is not a bad idea because you can call a raise, but you can't call a re-raise.
I think that's spot on, Jesse. Ian Fraser is surprised. I'm surprised to see Ian Fraser was here. I thought we were playing with 5.
Okay.
but
Yeah.
Check.
Ian Fraser was just an out of camera shot at the edge. He's not moving. He's
15,000.
There's a big bet from Helmuth. Both players have draws. Elliott on the flush draw. Oh, wow. And he's re-raised enough to set Helmuth in.
Pass.
Is Helmuth going to speak to the camera?
The wheels are off, man. Mr. Poker's downhill. You know downhill skiing? Except without the skis, he's on his bum. and the ride's rough. Oh, it's bumpy. He's getting hurt.
Is that not tobogganing?
It's close to that.
There's a few.
Except he's
Is it like the luge?
That's
That's the
bare-
luge.
no,
You know
no,
the
no.
luge?
That's Mr. Poker bareback. It's completely bareback. He feels it.
There's a few
He
rocks.
feels it. Every bump, he feels it.
A few rocks
Oh.
sticking out, eh?
A lot of stitches at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, good stitch-up job. His rear-end plastic surgery in Hollywood
Is that?
fixes you up.
Makes
Makes the rear end look like your face.
Thought you might know about the rear end plastic surgery.
Do you get the feeling that Tony G wouldn't pull the legs off an ant unless one of them was already trapped under a rock? Everybody loving getting into this rivalry between Helmuth and the Fish.
I compare it with a sand pit full of children, and everybody's building their cats, and we have 2 players, Phil Helmuth and Devilfish, who aren't building their castle, they're just telling each other who has the bigger shovel.
I can sense that there's a little revenge between them two, and
You know, personally, if I was Devilfish, I'd try to stay away from Phil, because Phil's got his number, and Phil's running really hot.